Welcome to the Disruptance Podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric Forney and Michael Bounds.
Mike, every week on the show, we aim to disrupt the way entrepreneurs and real estate agents think about their business in order to increase their productivity and profitability. And this week, what I want to disrupt the way you think about is the idea of a solo practitioner. I'm here to say that the solo practitioner is dead. They're extinct and on their way out as technology continues to creep in on the commoditization of industries. And especially in the industry that we work in, real estate, the solo practitioner is feeling the squeeze of the market dynamics and is extinct and nearing its painful death of market share here in the coming years, if not coming months. And so I'm here to change how you think about being a solo practitioner versus being a business owner and a leader.
I'm so glad I figured this out. Like, you're absolutely right. So you either need to aspire to be on a team, or from a real estate perspective. I know we're entrepreneurial, but we're rooted in real estate. So when I'm talking about solo practitioners, we're specifically speaking to like real estate agents, but this applies to any form of business. If you're out here doing it by yourself, you need to team up. You really do.
And I've got a lot of thoughts on why that is, but what's the first thing that comes to your mind as to why?
Because especially from a real estate perspective, the job is too big. So there's people out there that are specializing. They have executive assistants, transaction coordinators, buyer's agents, inside agents, and they're able to do a really good job. And if you're focusing on transaction coordination when you should be focused on the income producing activities, you're going to get left behind. Like, there's just no way that you can in this market, as hot as it is, you can write enough contracts in order to you can make good money, but if you want to change your world, you have to team up.
So what's one benefit, before we even dive into why they should be focusing on teams? What's one benefit to, if you could take their side of a solo person, what is the most common reason most people stay?
Why do they stay single though?
Why they stay single?
Yeah.
To me, I feel like it's a mindset. It's more of I hate to say this, more of a scarcity mindset. They feel like they get the whole grape versus a chunk of a watermelon. They don't understand that it's a volume type. I make more money by being able to focus on 20%, my 20%. And I do less. So then you're leveraging your time. You'll have the ability to balance your time better because you're not doing the things that bog you down. Am I?
Yeah. I hear you say, so when you say mindset, I hear limiting belief around that too. And then a lot of it is accountability to the accounting. One of the flaws I see is that a lot of solopreneurs don't actually keep good records and good books. So they believe that 100% means I keep 100%. Well, that works if you never check your actual accounting. Yeah. Because what you find is that you don't keep 100% of what you earn. You have business expenses with that. And so when you partner up or when you join a team, you have to figure out those expenses have to get distributed across someone's balance sheet, and they just come in the form of a split typically as far as a team is concerned in our business. But as a solopreneur, you're paying that anyway. Yeah. If you're not looking at it, you're ignoring the reality of the fixed costs that come with it. I think that is definitely one aspect. The other one is the feeling of independence, right? And so one of the things that we find with our team is because we're very structured in how we like to streamline our processes and systems of how we go to market to try to create the most duplicatable outcome and service for the customer. We believe it's in the customer's best interest to deliver a duplicatable process that generates an outcome that they hire us to fulfill. And doing that means having standards of how people go to market and how people perform their activities and job functions. The challenge becomes is the solopreneur doesn't typically want to follow a standard of operating. And that's because of the independence or creativity aspect of it. And so that can become one of the challenges, the feeling of a loss of control or a loss of creativity. The problem with that is that artists are often starving artists because of creativity. When business owners are typically reaping the benefit of a standard operating procedure,
systems and models,
that's
like
right.
doing it all. And then you also, your service level is higher because you're replicating the same thing over and over again versus having a bad, you can have bad experiences. So it's totally like just partnering up. That person is taking something where hopefully it's a weakness, and then they can do it out of strength because that's their strength. So then what that does is it multiplies you. It makes you look better.
I'm sure you've heard me say, I know, Tyler, you've heard this too many times, but I use the example of Walt Disney. And whenever the limiting belief or the need for agent creativity or lack of flexibility comes into play, for whatever reason, I think of Walt Disney, who had this vision for the Disney empire. And Disney drew out this vision map of what he believed the Walt Disney companies could look like at scale. And I think at the time it included it was cartoons and movies and music and some and one park and music, if I'm not mistaken. And so at the time he lays out this vision for what the Disney companies would look like. He casts the vision, then they add Disney World to the mix, and then he dies before Disney World really comes to fruition. And yet now when we look at Disney, the company, we see so much more than
what he saw.
That's right. And that's because he cast the vision and then turned over his weaknesses or areas in which he wasn't necessarily the ideal implementer. He casts the vision, has the creativity, sees what it could become, and then someone who is more skilled, talented actually implements and executes. And so Walt Disney actually still gets the credit. Right. And so as a solopreneur, it's not as though you actually give up credit when you give up control. It's whether you give up control to the right people or not.
It's a fallacy.
Yeah.
The problem is we feel we've been told as entrepreneurs that Walt Disney did it, when all reality, Walt Disney had a right hand.
Yeah.
Everybody, all the people that you think of, Steve Jobs, Bill Gates, they all had integrators. They were visionaries and they all had integrators. And if you're a solopreneur and you're a solo agent, guess who you don't have? You're casting visions, but you don't have an integrator, someone to drive your business.
So you actually become the limiter to your own success and the service that you can actually deliver to the consumer. And so that along that same line I use with people is have you been to Disney World or to a Disney movie? Yes. Did you or your children enjoy it? Yes. Did Walt Disney meet you at the gate when you got there? No. So yet Walt Disney was able to have a larger impact on people by delivering his vision of service to the masses because there were talented people implementing his vision. And Walt was so intense about his vision to what the consumer experience looked like that he would ride the attractions and time them. And if they weren't precisely timed the way they were laid out to be, according to his standard of entertainment, then they would have to go back and actually operate that ride appropriately. So he's still been able to implement his standard posthumously, and everyone else gets a higher degree of service today than they did previously when he was still alive. That works in everyone's business if you give up control to the right people. Kate is the implementer, and maybe she's also the brains too. I don't know.
Visionary.
She's the visionary and the implementer.
She's a unicorn.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just here to look cute.
You're the eye candy.
I'm the eye candy.
So the reality though is that somebody has to implement.
Yeah.
And so why I say the day of the solopreneur is limited and should be put on the nearing extinction list is because in a traditional year, the National Association of Realtors estimates that 65% of the job of a real estate agent is outside of working with a customer.
Right.
And so it's clerical work, it's administrative work, it's coordination work, it's market research, it's training, it's continuing education, it's networking functions. It's all of these ancillary items that are not actually consumer facing.
Right.
So 65% of the work is estimated to be non-consumer facing. The traditional estimate is 38 hours are needed for one buyer. Okay, so the equivalent almost of a 40-hour work week for one closing with a buyer.
Okay.
If 65% of the job is administrative in a non-inventory depleted year, then you're already spending your first 3.5 days of the week doing administrative work for the consumer, which means once you get one in contract, your ability to go out and get another and grow your business becomes then limited by the 24-hour workday, which means you have a choice to make. You can either take time from your family, take time from your health, take time from your sleep. Something has to be remargined.
That's what I did.
Which yes.
That's what we did.
All of them, yes. Yes. And so... And I made that conscious choice.
Yeah.
And so,
price.
Yeah, exactly. And so, in order to rebalance that deficit, you've got to take from another bucket of life, and we're seeing it compounded
on top
more.
Of that,
That's right.
With the market that we're having.
That's right.
So, and this is another thing, you guys. We want to set the expectations on some of this doesn't really makes sense to some people. This is a master's level course, you guys. So give the disclaimer.
I mean, I think that there's going to be someone who hears me say the individual agent is nearing extinction and gets offended by that, and probably some of our own agents. And I love you. And what I'm saying is that if your goal is to grow your business and grow your impact with the service level and the benefit that you believe that you provide in your business, then what I'm saying is it's limited and capped as an individual, and it is becoming increasingly more and more limited and more capped in light of the current market dynamics.
Right. We're just saying get better.
Technology.
Get better.
Or understand that if status quo is a level of fulfillment for you, then maintain status quo. However, technology and the market dynamics are influencing status quo.
Got it.
Because what we've seen over a 10-year trajectory, Mike, is that commissions earnings have begun to be compressed as an industry as technology becomes more and more applicable in our business. The costs of agents using technology is going up.
Yep.
And the rate of commission has been coming down nationally. And that balancing act means that there is a shift in income that will, at this rate, continue to compress the agent's earnings. And so if we extrapolate this rate 10 years from now,
if we keep going at that pace,
then it means that the status quo for the agent who isn't interested in becoming a leader or utilizing leverage significantly decreases, if not diminishes, to an unsustainable and a income that makes it of no use to hold a license.
Got it.
Because if you think about what happens to taxi cabs or what happens to a number of industries that have been commoditized by technology, the earnings all get compressed into a lower level. Now, will that happen at scale in real estate? My belief is not fully at scale. There are still limo drivers. Mm-hmm. There are still cab drivers. There are still Uber drivers. So will we see the complete collapse of commissions in the current structure that we see? No. Will it change? Of course. However, the dollar of commissions in real estate is always in direct proportion to the number of agents in the marketplace. Okay. And that's because if there were 1 million fictitious dollars to divide, there will be X number of agents, which is no different than if there were 10 million commission dollars and Y number of agents. Right. And so that number is always relatively proportionate because of costs of living. And the way in which now we're seeing Zillow become a brokerage now in 2021, and recent reports from Redfin indicating that their corporate agent model is generating an increase in productivity, and they're expected to turn their profit for the first time possibly next week when they report earnings, that we're going to see Wall Street propped up technology companies attempt to commoditize the real estate agent commission. And those models are corporate team structure, highly leveraged models that we expect to see go after the agent's market share.
Right.
And the individual agent is the one who becomes most negatively impacted by the corporatization of the real estate industry.
Yeah, that's their competition.
Yeah. And sadly, a lot of people I don't think quite have recognized that. And we've seen this now start to play out in the last 2 years of market data when we look at the amount of market share that goes to big teams compared to the amount of market share that goes to the other 90%.
Right.
And so we're the same way we've seen wealth divides in our country.
And the have-nots.
We are seeing wealth divides in real estate. That's right. And that's because of standard operating procedure and systems. The model,
people that follow models are getting better, and the people that are just doing whatever they're doing are struggling. Yeah. I make calls a part of my job is just to call real estate agents and have conversations with them. And it's stark. Yeah. I mean, I don't even know how else to say it. Like, you crushed it or you had a horrible time last year.
Yeah. And that becomes a compounding effect as inventory continues to lessen and lessen and lessen, and as the world becomes more on demand. Yeah. Truly, the on-demand aspect of the business is one of the things that I think really drives the solopreneur into that near burnout, not worth the time constraints and the income generated, because everyone, understandably, wants everything now.
So what do you do?
So there's options, right? So in our model, at Keller Williams, which, has been a massive game changer for me and for my business. I was a solopreneur. I was totally tapped out on time, and
I wanted to quit.
Right?
I almost quit.
How many houses did you sell as a solopreneur?
I sold 128, and it was miserable. Now I made a really good living. I'll give you that. But I robbed from every bucket humanly possible to get there. And so what was interesting though is that I knew that I still had more gas in the tank and I had more demand, but I believed I was actually just tapped out of hours.
Yeah. How could you get how do you see more people?
Yeah, because I had demand that I could have still fulfilled and yet had zero additional time, and believed I couldn't get any much more effective or efficient. And so trying to duplicate that was going to be nearly impossible, and then try to build it was going to be even that much harder, and truly didn't even know how. And so for me, partnering with Keller Williams became the game changer to understanding business building.
Right.
And that's because at KW we have a series of a 7-level model that really is a framework for how to build a system of leverage so that you're not robbing from all of those other life buckets. And so the way out, or the answer as a solopreneur, is to decide after, studying those 7 models, which level do you want to aspire to?
Yeah.
Is it level 2? Great. Level 2 is the level in which you start to actually add that leverage to your business and your personal life.
Yeah.
So maybe it's hiring a third-party transaction coordination company that you pay only when you have a pending.
That's it.
Or maybe it's hiring someone to cover showings on call 5 days a week. And, they're paid to be on call, but they're not necessarily paid exclusively on salary. So it's figuring out, how do you begin to take what's your biggest time and then remargin and reallocate it to someone else who's better or whose life is more suited for that.
Yeah.
So for me, Grant started with me, who had no life obligations because he was 21 or 20 or something. And his current life stage was that he could do showings on demand.
Okay.
And that made a huge time benefit for me, because with no kids and no real bills to speak of, and no spouse,
Yeah.
a showing at 7:00 in Plainfield, 40 miles away, was not that cumbersome for him.
Yeah.
But for the solopreneur, trying to get to 40 miles away at 7 p.m. after leaving your appointment on the opposite end of town at 6:00, good luck.
It's stressful. Yeah.
And then figure out how you're going to do e-learning for your kids, and still the other aspects that come into life.
Oh, yeah, you have a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, you have a wife.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there are all these other elements at play where we're seeing the industry go more and more and more on demand. The other way out, then, I say, Mike, is that someone has a hard decision to make, which is, am I going to be the person who wants to become the leader,
Right.
and then have the leverage, or would I rather plug in to an organization that already has the systems, the models, the standard operating procedure in place?
I say you could do both. Like, that's how I started. I kind of started off as a brokerage that ran as a team. And by being able to work within the environment, I was able to recognize what was happening. And then when I stepped out of the business, I was able to then model that. In the book that MREA, I've read the book, I think I'm reading it my 7th time right now. Every time I read it, I pick something up. It's like a river, the water's never the same. So what gave me the first aha was, I was the same way. I wasn't as dope as you. I sold 110, 128.
That's awesome, dude.
So
that's awesome.
I had no transaction coordinator.
Yeah.
I had no idea how to delegate.
You were a lot smarter than me, though. You did new construction for a lot.
So they became my de facto leverage.
Yeah.
Like, they handled all the work, and then all I became is like a
lead
just pass
distributor.
out.
Yeah, you were distributing leads, truly. Yeah.
But Patty Anderson,
Yeah.
she helped me per transaction when I started focusing on existing. With new, you didn't need a transaction coordinator because it was all handled in-house.
Yeah.
The model. So then when I started focusing on existing, like, that relief, because this is the thing, you have this, I say it all the time, anxiety, you call it disturbance, when you're handling, paperwork and, mandatory clauses and all this stuff, and you're trying to sell houses. Man, taking that off of my plate and then just knowing all I have to do is show up to closing, it just gave me such relief. And then I'm now in my business, every time I feel like I'm gonna quit, because there's times like I'm gonna quit.
Yep. Yep.
Whenever I feel like that, I challenge myself, what is making me feel that way?
Yeah.
And then you need to partner with someone to take that thing off your plate. You guys, we keep talking about technology. I hired somebody in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And she's literally making phone calls for me and she's setting appointments better than I do.
Yeah.
Like, she's setting literally 4 appointments a day. And so what I'm doing is I'm paying her X And then she's giving me better results than I ever would have done by myself.
Then you could give yourself. Yeah, that's right.
Absolutely.
Yeah. But it isn't until you sit in the honesty, the transparency of your own discomfort or that want to quit, that you're actually able to really be uncomfortable and be honest with yourself to discover what is it that's actually holding your business back.
Why do I feel that way?
When I want to quit or when I want to give up or when there's this disturbance, what is it that's causing that? And then what else?
And then you tackle that.
That's right. And is that true? Is kind of the question I always ask myself. Is that really true? Or am I making excuses for myself? Right?
Yeah.
Am I not leading myself? Or am I missing a skill set? I'm missing a person. And so when getting that transparency, then you're able to decide what problem do you need to solve. And that problem is either leverage or partnering with a leverage organization. And oftentimes the only difference is whether or not you want to be at the front of the line from an ego perspective.
Yeah.
Do you want to be Mark Zuckerberg, or would you be okay being the third Facebook employee? Because both of them make an awful lot of money.
Right.
So this isn't really a money-based conversation when you think about it in a big way.
It's an ego.
This is an ego conversation.
People don't want to let stuff go.
Yeah.
And that's totally what it is. Like, I know when I'm hiring people from a team perspective, they're coming at me with like, they want their face on their signs. And to me, that's more of an ego thing.
That's right. Yeah.
Versus like, do you want to make money or not? Like, do you want to make six figures? Okay, guess what? You're not going to have your face on the sign.
Yeah. Because we have to make this duplicatable.
Yeah,
that's
we
right.
gotta make it. So, and I'm not talking about team leaders. I'm talking about when I'm hiring someone on the team.
Yeah.
When people come in as agents, the thing that I see most is they want to build their brand. Yep. I'm doing air quotes, y'all, for the people that are doing the podcast. They want to build their brand and they have it reversed.
Yeah.
They have it to where, okay, I put out this persona. Now I'm going to sell real estate versus putting in the work.
Yeah.
And then guess what? The brand takes care of itself.
Yeah. Because the brand is actually the service you provide. It's not really the influencer Instagram model BS that people want to believe the brand is. And if it were, then Ritz-Carlton wouldn't have their brand be a pitchfork and a lion.
Right.
Because their brand is actually world-class customer service.
Right.
It just so happens that when they originally rolled the brand out, it was a lion head and a pitchfork. And so if brand mattered, then and that image of the brand actually mattered, then Ritz-Carlton would be known more by what their look is than what the product and service they actually provide is. And so agents can do that with a team when they actually lead with delivering a customer service-based product first, and where you are becomes oftentimes irrelevant to that.
It does. It's a byproduct.
Yeah.
I think having a photo shoot, though, is a lot easier than picking up the phone.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
And then you can justify it as like, maybe I'll get a lead from this photo shoot when I post it versus like just making dials.
That truly is one of the biggest struggles in the industry in general is thinking that activity leads to outcomes, right? And so, yes, you can be busy making business cards and headshots and new signs and a new website and all of these things you're going to do. And the reality is the only thing you get paid for is execution. You're going to do is going to be a really hard check to cash when it comes time for your mortgage to be due. Mm-hmm. Execution matters, and having a system and a model that executes is a lot more effective than what activity ends up being.
Yeah. There's a lot of agents that we're just saying, like, if you want to be nimble, like you can't be as an individual agent, you are watching 100%.
Yeah.
So there's no way from you can react fast enough. So I tell people this all the time. Okay. So people may hear this. I've heard this before. I get a flat tire on my truck. Okay. I get a flat tire on my truck. I'm 250 pounds. I can pull up to the side. I can lift. I can grab the fender. I can pull the truck up. I can try to change that sounds ridiculous, doesn't it?
It does.
That sounds stupid.
So you're going to try to lift the truck up and change your own tire?
I'm going to try, or I can lift the hatch. I can grab a jack, which is a lever, and I can jack my 4,000 or however many pound truck up and remove it. What most people do is when they build a team, or when this is what I did. I tried to lift the truck, and then I tried to get other people to come and lift the truck. So I hired buyer's agents, and then guess what? I burned them out.
Yeah.
So you have to get support. Get support so then you can focus on your strength, your 20%, the things that make money, and then that support is focusing on that 80%, but that's their 20%. I know I keep saying that.
I think you're right, though, because in my opinion, all of the extra stuff that you were just mentioning, Eric, like the branding and the marketing,
Yep.
I feel like you're adding seasoning to an existing business. And like the meat and potatoes, though, of the business is the like, okay, I need to be able to hire an admin team that can actually support people that I eventually bring on and myself, so that I'm not bogged down by all these random details. And then once all of that's set up, that's when it's like, okay, tell the world everything that you're doing here. Maybe you'll attract people that are like that could benefit from that.
That are actually resonate with your brand. Yeah. I mean, part of the challenge with that is that it's, you know, kind of what you're describing is it's, in my opinion, social media hype and lies that have convinced people that they need to do things that are visible and that are similar to what others are doing in order to be successful. And the fact of it is that most of the time, if you're mimicking what a competitor or what someone in your industry is doing, you're probably doing it wrong. Yeah. Because all of those things don't matter. In fact, I've never paid $1 for a website, and we don't have one up currently. And it's not that we don't, that was intentional and that we're not trying to resolve it, but I decided that day one, a website wasn't going to matter, and I wasn't going to spend time and money on it because I didn't believe that was a way in which I could win market share in a Zillow, Redfin, Realtor.com, Google Ads dominated business. Anyway. I don't have enough time and enough money to drive activity to that site. And I wasn't willing to go into debt or out of business to try to test that theory. And so I immediately said, okay, I'm going to do something different. And what I'm going to try to do different is just offer good service. Yeah. And if I lead with service and lead with market knowledge and deliver the product that people hire me for, I bet they'll tell someone else. Yeah. And then I bet that will build. And guess what? It does. And that actually continues to compound on itself over a large period of time. And I don't own business cards, websites, new headshots, and all of the number of things that would be deemed as influencing social media best practices, because they don't actually add up to any additional impact at the bottom line.
Okay. Yeah.
Unless that's your model, and then good luck.
So whatever if it works for you, then it works for you. It doesn't, like, for me, I don't know. That remains to be seen. But the thing that I think is I feel like people get it flipped.
Well, you got really good at social media, by the way, though. Like I'm not saying you can't social media. It's just that if that's your lever, go all in on the lever, because that was your lever in which you said, okay, I'm going to learn Facebook ads to a level of mastery, and that will be the lever I jump on whenever I need to generate more business.
It's all about mind share. So like that, for me, mind share, social media allowed me to get mind share when I'm not from here. Yeah. I don't have a sphere here.
You didn't try Facebook and then next week try expireds, and then next week try open houses.
It's the cumulative effect. If you go with something, you got to roll with it and just stay with it. So if you're good at open houses, great. But just make sure you hone that to where it's mastery. It's it's the cumulative effect of the activities. The problem is most people put in a little work for a couple of days and then they quit. But if you do something, marketing on social media open houses. My wife used to like to do coffee shops, buy coffee for everybody in the coffee shop and get leads that way. You just have to do it over and over again.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you like to door knock, you got to do it over and over again.
Yeah.
It's true though. It is just, if you do what you're getting paid to do and you do it well, that shit just
it's pretty fascinating how
it's
that works,
like novel, but like
yeah.
Kate put together one video. We've advertised one time with a video about like, need help with your social media or some shit like that back in like 2017. And Michael's wife tagged Michael, and then that led to that relationship. And then we never put out another marketing piece again.
You never
Too
literally
funny.
solicited any business publicly other than one time.
Yeah.
It was just that one time.
Yeah.
And we're just
She
like,
is such a connector, man. Like,
yeah.
I
and
wish I had that.
Yeah.
She literally, this is Amy. We literally go to a place. We went to someplace in Michigan. I can't remember where it was. She tagged, we're in such and such Michigan. Dude, like the next week, 4 people show up at this city. And like she says, I'm at such and such, and people show up. It's insane. I wish I
like,
had
if
that.
if you guys went there, it must be worth visiting.
She is an influencer. Wow. Like if she would like apply that, she could be
an influencer before influencers.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, it's a trusted perspective,
Yeah.
right? So there's a credibility that comes with that for sure.
I wish I had it.
Yeah.
I say I'm here, and they'd be like, I ain't going there.
Mike's been there.
Mike's goes there, man. That place is garbage.
All right, Mike. So as we wrap things up, as a solopreneur or someone who's operating as an independent contractor, whether that be providing tax services, providing construction,
insurance,
all of these industries operate similarly in the way in which the on-demand needs of today's consumer and the technology that's required in order to execute the systems and the processes to be on demand have made the solopreneur on the extinct list. And so I'm expecting that we see the days of the independent real estate agent to be numbered as teams and corporations begin to continue taking market share in exponential growth perspective, especially in this market where it is absolutely funneled by an on-demand marketplace that has no supply.
Yeah, I mean, you have to be more what it is just you have to be better. You have to be more efficient. So us as single individual human beings, eventually you're not going to be efficient enough. So you're not going to be effective. So in order to be able to do that, you're going to have to partner with people.
Yeah. You have to increase your efficiency if your effectiveness goes down. Absolutely. Yeah. So look for the endangered species list, the solopreneur, to be hitting an endangered species watch coming soon.